Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to have you here. My name is Agnes Canonica. I'm with MCI. I'm based out of Philly, and we are here to talk about digital trends and technology. And with that, I have my colleague from Geneva, a creative genius and very passionate about the industry. Let me introduce you to David Granite, and we're going to have a nice conversation. David, if you want to tell the audience about you a little bit.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm David Granite. I'm creative technologist for Dorier, an MCI company. My main role is to convey emotions and use technology to do it. I have a team of very curious people and very empathic people that are always looking for the future trends, and we try to apply them in the activations that we propose to our clients. This is who I am, and this is what I do.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, David. I know it's late for you in Geneva, but it seems like there's still daylight. It looks gorgeous.
It's a beautiful day.
So thank you for joining us. So without further ado, let's get started. I feel that technology is kind of its own language. So perhaps we can even start with some definitions, right? Let's start with the basics. Would you be able to maybe describe and give context to what is AI, Chat GPT, GTP, PT, can't even say it right, NFTs, blockchains, W3, and DAO tokenomics?
Wow. So Agnes, you just dropped like all of the buzzword of the digital trends that we have right now. So AI, of course, artificial intelligence, it's been worked on for over 60 years now. And the big break now is what we call the LLMs, large language model. And this is what ChatGPT is. ChatGPT is a conversational AI that allows you to tap into an artificial intelligence that has a copy of the web until 2021, and that can actually interpret what it's written. It understands words, it understands the phrases, so you can have a real conversation. But of course, you have to be careful. You have to be careful because it's a very new model. And it makes mistakes, and it has hallucinations, and it's closer to a human brain than to a kind of a program that we can fully understand. So AI is a great promise. It's also a great threat. The conversational AI today can be very useful, extremely useful. It can accelerate brainstorming. It can accelerate copywriting. It can accelerate pretty much every task that you do, but you have to remain in control. You are the one with the knowledge. This is just to help you accelerate and deliver more. It's a great tool to work with. And ChatGPT is not alone. Google has its own. It's called Bard. And Facebook Meta has came up with another large language model that is actually pointing to kind of open science. So funny enough, Meta wants to do an open AI, and open AI signed with Microsoft, and they're not open at all.
Oh, interesting. Now, we have NFTs in here. What does NFTs have to do with?
NFT has nothing to do with AI. NFT is part of what we call Web3. Web3 is the future of internet. It has 5 pillars. The first pillar it's all based on blockchain technology, right? And throughout this rising of this new internet that we call Web3, there is a roadmap. This roadmap is with 5 different pillars. The first pillar was to create value with this technology. And that's the emergence of Bitcoin in 2008. So we created value, but then we needed to exchange this value. This value by itself didn't have any value. So then we had what we called DeFi, which is decentralized finance. And we saw the emergence of cryptocurrencies, Ethereums, and all of the different crypto emerged. And this is the market. That's the second pillar. Then there's the third pillar. And the third pillar is property. And property is the token that defines your digital property is called the NFT. NFT stands for non-fungible token. It's a certificate of ownership of a digital asset or a tangible asset. It could also be a tangible asset that property ownership is actually NFTized. So there are many examples, and if you want, we could dive into this, but there are many, many different examples of the usage of NFTs. The fourth pillar, which we're going now, this is where we are now with the whole Web3 emergence, is what we called the DAO. DAO is decentralized autonomous organization. And this allows you to create your own workflow and capture the value of your community with the blockchain technology. But this emergence is still very niche and it's growing. The last step will be identity, where your identity, your certificate, let's say today I'm going to a university and I receive a piece of paper with a stamp and a signature, and this is my diploma. And of course, I'm in the alumni list, and when I send it with my curriculum, they can check if I do have this university diploma and if it's not a fake. In the future, it's not going to be us sending a PDF. We will send a link to the university blockchain that certifies our credits, and that gives us the impossibility to copy or to fake a diploma, because we will not accept PDFs anymore. We will accept only links that link to Harvard and that shows that you actually have your NFT diploma. And that's the first step of identity. Of course, then it's going to go with your medical records. It's going to go with everything that is related to you as a person. But this is in the hands of institutions. So it's going to take a while before we get to the Web3 ID identity part of it. But that's pretty much Web3.
Okay, that's amazing. So can we talk about all of these technologies that you just described? How do they apply in the events world?
Oh, they all apply at many, many levels, right? So the first thing that I'd like to say here is that not every new technology is good for every client. Some clients are tech savvy, some clients are eager to showcase the best new thing, and some are more conservative and they prefer to wait. So the first advice I would give is just make sure that your client or the client is actually ready to receive this, and most importantly, his audience is ready to receive this type of technology and this type of I would say high-tech activations, whether it's sending VR headsets to create an immersive demonstration of something. Will your users actually enjoy having a headset on their heads? It really depends on who they are. Will you provide ticketing through NFT non-fungible tokens that might have a value of memorabilia or even speculating value? Is the audience ready to mint this NFT? Do they have the wallet? Do they have the knowledge? Do they have the culture to actually store it in a place in their phone? Would they have this MetaMask or whatever wallet that they use in order to keep their digital assets? All of these questions. So if I sum it up, all of these technologies can be applied in the event world, depending on the audience, depending on the readiness, and of course the budgets. But let's take some examples to make it really concrete. The way I use ChatGPT, I use it, or BART, I use both. I use them as I want to be challenged, right? And I like to share my ideas with AI and have it dive deep into the backgrounds of my ideas and try to give me feedback or enhance them. And then I'm the one making decisions here. It's not the AI taking control of my creative process. It's me using it as a tool to accelerate my knowledge and my decision-making into, and it works for tactics, strategic, but it also works for creative work. And we're discussing here conversational AI, but of course there's generative AI. AI that can create images, AI that can create websites, AI that can create. So now there's pretty much an AI for everything. And in the next 6-7 months, we're gonna see thousands of AI arise, one for everything, just like we had the craziness of the app when the smartphone came up. Everybody started an app, and so now everybody's starting an AI product. So it's going to be part of our process at every level, from accounting to delivery, everywhere. Get used to using it in your daily life as a personal tool and as an add-on to enhance your capability to deliver faster, to deliver with more insight, more depth. And that's an advice I would give to anyone, whether they're in the event industry or not. And that's more on the, I would say, back office side or preparation side. But then you can use it for front to client. You can use conversational AI to give information about your event or your seminar or your activation through an avatar that you chose. And this avatar would be knowledgeable about everything that needs to be known about your events, and will be able to answer in a very natural way to your clients or attendees. That makes it really interesting on a, first of all, on an operational level, because then customer care or customer assistance is then accelerated, much easier to provide. But it's also great for the attendees themselves, so that they can have a knowledge base that they can actually tap into without having to read too much, and just asking direct questions, very specific questions, and having answers, and being able then to actually elaborate on the questions and just continue. It's not like Google where it gives you an answer. We can brainstorm with AI, and sometimes it's wrong, which makes it even more interesting, because it's a little bit like a human being. You have to challenge it. It's not like, it's not a god.
And hence why probably too, they, a lot of the clients need experts like us to guide them through this journey, because there are so many paths.
There are so many paths and so many different ways of using it. So there's AI, of course, but there's also virtual reality that was very much used into activations. And then we had this whole craziness about the metaverse and Oculus and Meta and everything. And then, of course, AI came and the trend kind of went down. But what you see with VR is that when we dreamed VR during the COVID period, and we thought that the metaverse would be some kind of answer to a dematerialization of the world, where we could be together from anywhere in the world, which we called remote collaboration. Remote collaboration is a wishful thinking vision of the future. It's very hard to get to that point where all of your users are actually comfortable in this technology, know how to use it, know how to leverage it. So in order to take advantage of this technology outside of the pure activation wow effect world, where it's the most efficient, it's in soft skills training. And that's very different than the approach of actually deploying it for emotions. This is just using it as a tool to improve your management skills, to improve your capacity to deal with crisis, to improve or to train on very complicated scenarios, whether it's complicated because of your physical danger for nuclear power plants, stuff like that, or whether it's, I would say, dangerous for you to really drastically improve fast before you give a talk, for instance, because you have speech impediment, or it's hard for you to relax. And then you have all those VR solutions that help you to train. And actually learning is much more efficient when you're fully immersed. So if I would say what is the best usage of VR today, it would be soft skills training in-house, in the back office, and the back the logistics. Of course, then we can deploy it as activations, and we can have lots of fun with it. We can educate people with it. But for a company to envision how VR will impact their day to day, it's not going to be straight away with remote collaboration. There's going to be a huge learning curve, and there's going to be a huge improvement of technology that will drive adoption. So it's a very, very slow process, the integration of virtual reality into
Okay,
our really daily life.
perfect. So I think, a question that comes to mind, right, is how do you balance between technology and the human element with the events, right? Because we're talking about technology and how it's kind of taken over everything, but it won't be able to drive it without that human factor. So how do you balance that?
We balance it simply by, I would say, whatever we do, whatever we think about is always human-centered. Human is always at first. So what we're trying to do here, and this is MCI's motto, is when people meet, magic happens, and we make people come together. So the human factor, we are social animals. We need to meet. There is a chemical layer that will not be answered with digital. So, but the hybridation, this is the future of anything that we do, and it's already there because we amplify our events on social media, we do registrations on social media, we promote them on social media. It's a resonance that is already digital. Now we can enhance this feeling of togetherness between the live audience and the remote audience. We can create bridges with narrative, storytelling, installations, etc., etc. So the digital will never, ever replace human. It will always be at service of the humans that need to meet, but it will facilitate the possibility to broaden the audience, to spread the message wider, to have more noise, to have more immersive experiences, to have more memories where you can actually imprint the message that you want to convey.
So thank you for that. Glad to hear that we won't be taken over by machines.
No,
Sure, we're all
not yet.
believing that.
Not
yet.
yet.
Let's see. In putting it all into context, could you provide a few examples of MCI projects that we've delivered integrating these new technologies, just to make it relevant to the audience?
Of course, we have several projects. So maybe let me start by one project that was during COVID and very tech oriented. So we had this. There's the luxury brand Bulgari from the group LVMH that had prepared an influencer weekend in the mountains in Switzerland, in the Matterhorn. And of course, COVID hit, and they had to cancel, and they were really worried because they needed to spread the message that the new perfume, Glacial Essence for Men, was coming out in September, and they had no way to communicate this through their regular channels. Influencers were blocked, so the idea was to bring all the influencers to the mountain, have them meet the master perfumer, then walk the glacier, have a little meetup, fire camp in the base camp 1, and then come down and have this great experience and be able to take pictures and post on social network. Obviously, the influencers were all blocked at home. So what we did is we took the experience to them. What we did is that we created exactly the experience they were supposed to live. So we captured the master perfumer in stereoscopy. We downloaded the mountain from Google. We reshaped it perfectly. We made the perfect view, and we sent them a branded Oculus One. It was Oculus One at the time. We're in 2020. It was already 3 years ago. And we sent them the VR with a magnificent box of unboxing experience with the Bulgari and very high end, super classy. And so what they did is they received that box at home. They opened it up, they put the headset on, and they were directly plunged into the Basecamp 1, meeting with the master perfumer. Then they had to walk the glacier with their hands. Then they had to climb the north face. And then finally, reaching the peak, they had to reveal the perfume by breaking the ice block. And what happened is that we were supposed to send this to 12 influencers, which were the 12 main influencers for Bulgaria at the time. But the experience was actually so efficient, and the influencers were so excited of receiving a way to escape reality of confinement and be able to actually have immersive tech that was offered and branded Bulgari. That made Bulgari think, and we went from 12 influencers to 98 influencers. We did in-store activations, we did duty-free activations, we did public unboxing in Paris and Tokyo from different influencers. And finally, we were selected to be the third best activation of the LVMH group in the year 2020. So we're very proud of this. And this is a typical example of, I would say, the capability of using this technology really fast. We created everything in 3 months to be able to deliver it to people that were confined throughout the world and actually keep communication with the influencers. The brand could keep their momentum with those influencers, and we provided also content so that the influencers could share on their social media without having to go through the hassle of extracting videos and stuff like that. So we made it super easy, super comfortable for the influencers, and had great resonance. And even though people couldn't get out, the perfume did really well on its first year, and it's a very good activation. So that's an example of VR deployment. We did parties in VR also. We sent headsets and simply had like parties where we did blind tests, and we went to the disco and danced TikTok dance with people from all over the world. And that also worked. Now let's take another example of the usage of artificial intelligence, for instance, in a project where the digital aspect or the technological aspect is less important. Well, we were asked by the hospital, the university hospital, the Geneva hospital, to come and help them with a crazy idea of creating the first ever pedopsychiatrist hospital that combines all of the pathologies from 0 to 25 years old. Usually the asylums are spread by age group, by pathology, and they're outside of the city. And the hospital told us, we want to create the link with the people. We want sane people to come into this building. We don't want the stereotype of if you're a kid and you get into that building, it means you're crazy. So they came to us and they asked us to create this level of experience at the ground floor. And what we did is we created first a story. And the story is, there is a world hidden in the kind of a multiverse, and this world is called Symbiotopia. It's a world of chimeric creatures that are half insects or half animals and half plants. They all live through photosynthesis from a creature called Aurora, and Aurora is gone. So Symbiotopia is slowly dying, but there's a little hero, a little mouse called Tricotine, who's going to go throughout the whole world of Symbiotopia, and she will try to find Aurora back. Throughout this narrative, what we created is that we created the chimeric creatures. We put them in the floor, in the terrazzo, because we were building the building. So it's not events. This is for 130 years old. And we created this within the floor so that we have a gamification canvas. Then we created hidden worlds in the hospital with little eyes, little, Judas, where they can actually look. And there are codes. And they need to help Tricotine to solve problems and solve treasure hunts in order to find Aurora. So we created a world within the building that allows imaginary concepts for the kids, for the parents, with different temporalities. Some of the games can be solved in 1 hour, and some will require 25 years of collaboration and sharing information and giving it to the next one, etc. And it's all iterative. We are building on it, and now we're doing the pediatric hospital, we're doing the psychiatric hospital for adults. We're going to do it's a place where we actually talk about religion and spirituality. It's a place where people come in the hospital when they have lost someone. What's interesting here is that we did all of this with artificial intelligence, all of it, the book, the story, the images. So when we started this project 2 years ago with the hospital, they had no idea that we'd be able in two years with the same budget to deliver so much value. They couldn't believe it. When we came up with Roger Federer opening the building a week and a half ago, that we came up with a full book, illustrated, absolutely beautiful, with artwork. We did a 30-meter mapping projection of 20 minutes where Tricotine is going through the world in the corridors of the hospital. So here we didn't use tech really, except for the projection or the little mechanics of the coding for to reveal the biomes. It's really very analogical. It's very old school. But we did use artificial intelligence and the latest trend to be able to deliver more in this analogical world, more tangible books, more pages, more illustrations, and more ways to actually then easily make it for other audiences. So now we have a book for 7 to 10-year-old. We put this book and now we say we want it for 12 to 15-year-old, and AI will tweak it. Of course, we will read it. Of course, we will correct the AI, but it will help us go even faster. So this is an example of usage of these technologies in different scenarios. And AI is very powerful when it comes to delivering outputs and content.
Absolutely magical, David, what you just described. And two great examples of how all of this can be applied. And if you know, one more thing that I'm finding out about you is that you're all actually as well a master storyteller. The
Oh,
way
thank you.
speak about these is fantastic.
Thank you very
Um,
much, Ines.
you're welcome. Thank you. So, what advice would you give in terms of incorporating some of the above elements into their events, and maybe starting small, right? And then and getting comfortable with it and easing into it and maybe thinking bigger. And are there specific industries that are more ahead than others?
Definitely, definitely. Some audiences are Web3 ready, they are comfortable with having conversations with avatars that are actually artificial intelligence. They get excited about it, and some other people would hate it. It would make them feel really uncomfortable and don't like it at all. So my advice to anyone in any type of industry, the first advice is be curious. Don't fear change, embrace it. There is nothing we can do to stop it, and there is nothing we can really do to influence the safeguards that the governments will put into place, or the models or the philosophical aspects of it. I'm not saying that there's none to it, but I'm saying that it shouldn't stop you from being savvy about it. Run it, use it, plan your vacation with your family with it. If you don't, if and let's be very specific. ChatGPT, for instance, is GDPR compliant. You just need to apply to the ChatGPT Plus and do what we call an opt-out. So you sign the contract with OpenAI, says that they will not use your conversations to improve the model. That makes it GDPR compliant. That means that you can actually talk about um, your intentions and what you want to do. Now, of course, don't put, classified informations or things that are very sensitive, but you can have a brainstorm with ChatGPT about, I don't know, let's say Galderma or Louis Vuitton, or say, I do it a lot. I'm like, okay, ChatGPT, I call him Gepetto. I'm always very polite with him because it puts my brain into a conversational mode where I'm not actually commanding a machine. I'm talking to some kind of entity. So I'm being very polite always. I always greet him and I always tell him what I have in mind. And I always ask him if he understands and if he agrees, et cetera, et cetera. This actually, I find, makes him act much better. He is giving better answers. Use ChatGPT. Use a lot of if you don't want to use it for your work at first, use it for private matters. Start replacing Google with ChatGPT without neglecting Google. Always with always fact checking, with always making sure that, like, the emotional maturity of ChatGPT is around 9 or 10-year-old. So he's still kind of talking to a very, 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 very intelligent and knowledgeable kid. So you have to be careful. But this is my advice. First of all, don't fear it. Use it, and use it in the day-to-day. Don't try to exploit it in a profitable way straight ahead. There is a mechanic, a way, a flow that you need to get. So talk to Geppetto. Tell him, I've never spoken to an AI before. I want to start with you now. What should we talk about? And he will start. He will be, okay, that's cool. This is then, no, 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 no. Depending on what it is that you want to know. If you're fearful, share your fears. And if you're enthusiastic, share your enthusiasm and see how this conversation goes with ChatGPT, and make it a daily exercise of 15 minutes. And soon enough, you won't even notice, and you will use it every day in your day-to-day. That's the first thing, the first usage. Then all of NFTs, Web3, blockchain, it's quite complicated to actually grasp. It's hard to explain it. It's hard to implement it. But if you surround yourself with your right people, and that's my advice also, surround yourself with good people that have not only the knowledge of the technology, but they understand your industry, and most importantly, they understand your audience. Find those people that can make it seamless, so that never when you deploy it do you mention blockchain. Don't even mention, you don't need to mention it. Nobody mentions HTML when we talk about the old web, right? We talked about web pages. We don't talk about the technology behind it. So it's the same thing with blockchain. The implementation of blockchain shall be and should be completely seamless to the users. And in order to be able to do that, you have to surround yourself with professional, because this is very, very niche. It's very sharp and it's very interrelated. So there are correlation integrate, and you can make a mistake. 99% of activations done with NFTs are failures. They are, yes, they are failures. They are failures because they fail to answer the real promise of community. They're speculative assets that are a ripple effect of the old world. When blockchain came, the brokers and traders jumped on it. When NFT came, the same ones that was using this new technology as speculative balance, they were trying to make money quick and buy blockchain, buy Ether, sell this. This actually, we went away from the real purpose of NFTs. So an NFT is not a picture of a monkey. NFT is a key to access a community that is bringing value to you somehow. And that value is why you are part of this community. And the token that you have, the NFT, is simply your membership card. This is what it is. So when you pay $900,000 for a monkey image, you don't pay the image, you don't pay the art, you pay the right to claim that you are an Ape Yacht Club member. And this is just like owning a Rolex or an AP. It's exactly the same mechanism as positioning goods in real life. So now you're going to see a shift of positioning goods in the digital world. How does this work? For instance, Twitter was one of the first ones to actually do it, because it's too easy, right? I go on a Google, I put Ape Yacht Club, I get an image of an ape, I copy paste it, I put it as my thumbnail in Twitter, and everybody thinks I have $9,000 to put in JPEG. But I don't own it. It's a JPEG I found on Google. In order for it to be a real positioning good, Twitter actually allows you now to link your image to your wallet. And if there's a little glow around my ape, that means that I did pay 900,000 for it. And that is where we're going to start to have the luxury industry. We're going to have the entertainment industry, the gaming industry. They're going to jump on this. And this is just the beginning. Now, let's take the example of video games, right? If I play GTA is an open world game, very popular, a lot of people playing. You can play there for thousands of hours and gain money and power and real estate and blah, blah, blah. All of this time invested is rewarded by instant dopamine. And this is, until now, was reward enough. But then there's also positioning good in the games. I have this bigger sword, I have the nice car in GTA, but the 1,500 hours that I invested in GTA and received straight dopamine out of it, I do get one of the 3 Ferraris of the game. So in that GTA world, I'm a king. But when I shut down GTA, I'm nothing. I don't have anything really. It's all the property of the game. Now, in the new world that we're getting in, and this is going to change everything because the kids that play today and we're like, drop this is crazy, your brain is getting scrambled, they will actually make money playing equal value. And I'll tell you why. Because in this next GTA that will be blockchain based, the thousands of hours that I have put into this game will be translated into a non-fungible token. The Ferrari that I get into GTA is not a Ferrari that is just me, or I can drive it. I can rent it in the game. I can sell it in the game for tokens that I can then exchange for real money. But most importantly, and this is the promise of Web3, and this is where everything's going to change. I'm going to be able to take my Ferrari from the GTA game and I'm going to be able to trade it for a magical sword in another game. And we're going to have a forest, just like euros and dollars, where the 1,500 hours spent on GTA is equal to 600 hours in League of Legends, or 5,000 hours in Roblox. It doesn't matter. The way it's going to work, it's going to be demanded. What's important here is to understand that the gaming industry is actually turning into the creator's economy, where when you contribute to the platform, you get rewarded for it. This is the major difference between Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. Web 1, where the 90s, we just get a newspaper on a screen, top down, we receive information. Then suddenly Web 2. Web 2, MySpace, Wikipedia, wow, the great story, the real internet. We can then share and contribute. Wikipedia is a great example of what we hoped internet would become. But then what happens? We have emergence of the GAFAM. They capture the engagement and they provided us the tools to capture our communities. And it was great. We loved it. So we have our communities that are on Facebook, that are on LinkedIn, that are on, and it's a great tool. We can communicate with them, we can federate them. And until now, it was great. We had no alternative. And Mark Zuckerberg gave us a great tool. And in exchange, we gave him the value of our community. He values your community. He monetizes it. You're just using the functions. He's making money out of it. Now, what happens in Web3? In Web3, you own your community. You set the rules of this community, and they can create value within this community. It's yours to monetize or not. You have full control. So in Web3, let's say today I'm a musician, I make a song, I want to put it on Spotify. I will get 0.000000006 cents for one stream of more than 30 seconds. I'm an artist. I have to comply, otherwise nobody's gonna listen, right? So I'm a content creator. I provide the content to the platform, but I abide to the rules of monetization of the platform. And if I don't agree with it, I'm not accessible. And that works for Twitch, that works for YouTube, that works for Facebook, that works for everything. So I contribute, it's my art, it's my value, but I'm not the one pricing it. I'm just making it available and then I become their product. In Web3, I'm an artist, I make a song, I put it out as an NFT, and I asked for $1 million for one stream. And once it was streamed once, then to stream a second time, I'm going to ask for $500,000, or I'm going to ask for $2 million, or I'm going to say that 30 seconds of the song is going to be destroyed, or I'm going to say if it's raining in Timbuktu, it's 80% less money. I can decide of the rules of usage and the rules of monetization of my own creations, but still be available to everyone to decide if they're willing to pay $1 million to listen to me or not.
David, okay, we're getting close on time and
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're very passionate. And I'm even afraid to ask this question, but I have to ask, what drives your passion?
What drives my passion, first of all, is curiosity. And it's the willingness to make an impact. and not an impact on the world, but an impact on individuals. It's the deep belief that we can, through what we do in life, enhance people's day to day. And what I like is to generate emotions. And this is what I prefer. This is what I want to do. And there is nothing more rewarding than to imagine some crazy mechanical scheme that will make people smile and see it work. And this is my motivation.
That's amazing. I think it's why we do what we do.
Yes.
Yeah, that instant gratification of seeing your vision come to life.
You can always reach out to MCI if you need anything, if you want more information. We have a lot of documentation that we share as open science. So tell us what you're interested about. Tell us what your questions, and we will provide answers and documentation that will help you raise your digital intelligence in your company and help you get future proof and prepare for the big waves of revolution, industrial revolution that we're living. We're here to implement, we're here to accompany, but we're also here to share knowledge, and that we do for free.
Perfect. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We hope to be hearing from you in the near future based on your interest. And again, thank you for your time.